What's up guys, welcome to today's video. We are going to be jumping back on the S15 project. So finally got some SR parts, I got some hardware back so I can start screwing with this thing a little bit. I can start assembling some stuff in the bay. The first thing that we're going to be doing is removing the camshafts out of this engine. I do plan to put bigger cams in it. These are stock cams. They're great for the stock S15 turbo that was on it, but since we're going to be running a bigger G25 550, I'm going to be upgrading these to something like a 264. So the real reason why I'm removing the cams right now, we got to get to the rocker arms. If you look, you can see how one side has a guide and then the other side has a shim that the rocker arm just kind of sits on. Very common issue with these engines is losing rocker arms at high RPM or with aggressive limiters. One thing that you can do to help alleviate that, which I've never done on an SR and thankfully I've gotten pretty lucky, is you do a dual guide conversion. So I'll be pulling these rocker arms and the shims and I'll explain to you how you could do it if you were to do it yourself. But in my case, I'm just going to be bringing them to Mazwork since they offer the service and it's really affordable. One of the things that I'm most concerned about is losing timing on the engine. I thought about trying to pull the rockers out just by tilting the cams up, which I've done in the past and is possible, but since we're going to be changing them anyway, I decided I'm going to attempt to remove the sprockets from the cams and hopefully they can dangle here and not lose timing in the bottom of the engine because I don't want to have to pull the whole entire oil pump off this thing. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to zip tie as much as I can to force the engine to stay in time on both sprockets. So that way when they are removed, the timing chain can't jump and then we don't have a whole scenario to where I have to retime this thing. This is going to be a problem because there's no hole to zip tie to on this one. Dang it. Stupid VTC chain 2.
Oh, the micros and the chains are.
So I'm being a little bit overly cautious with this. To be honest, this is the first time I've really gone in depth on an SR. I've pulled them apart completely, but I've never worked with the timing components or done any of the more internal stuff myself. So I'm proceeding with caution. Before I pull the cams out, I wanted to get it at TDC. I was hoping by turning the engine over enough, I could get the timing marks on the chain to line up with the 2 dots on the cams. It seems like I'm gonna be here for a while if I try to do that. So I'm going to do my best to get the crank at TDC. And then I'm just gonna make 2 marks with Sharpies up top. And then hopefully that will get us close to where we need to be. So pop this guy on. I need to take this off anyway. Me, God. Yeah, I just got oil everywhere. I'm gonna mark it, and I think I'm gonna color the whole chain just so it doesn't get mixed up with the other one. I think I'm also gonna see if I can still zip tie one to it. You know, worst case scenario, I have to pull the oil pump off, which I really don't wanna do, but we'll see if we can do it without that and have it run right. Let's see what happens. I tried to label a nice mat. That way I know what stuff's exhaust and what stuff's intake. So this would be exhaust. So I will put that here. Now I could wiggle this off, but how do I avoid losing timing? So I think now it's putting extra tension on it. So now I need to pull the timing tensioner. I might need a buddy mic to hold this up. Just play it safe.
Okay, I put camera down.
Okay. Take this off so we can get to this. Is the camera recording? We are genius. Hooray for us. Hopefully that works. Look at this ugly pulley. Can't wait to take that thing off, throw it in the dump. So, again, I don't really know how important certain things are, so I'm gonna be a little extra careful. I know we wanna work our way from the outside in when it comes to loosening. I could just hit it with a rattle gun, but you risk breaking stuff. So I'm gonna loosen it first with this, and then I'll hit it with a rattle gun. Fun fact, this engine has rocker arm stoppers. A lot of people like to debate rocker arm stoppers and if they work or not, and it seems like the general consensus is they do nothing. However, I will say in my experience, I was driving back from Connecticut and in Washington, DC, I lost a rocker arm. Didn't know it at the time, but the rocker arm stopper actually kept the rocker arm from flying around and doing any damage. And I was able to still keep running that engine. Why am I using such a freaking small ratchet? And I was still able to keep running that engine and doing, because all of them are missing. God. The rocker arm stopper saved my engine. It doesn't keep rocker arms from flying off, but it kept it from flailing around and doing potentially more damage. So I'm gonna keep them. If you're a hater, keep hating. So I'm a rocker arm stopper kind of guy. Rocker arms will be the theme of this build, and hopefully in a positive manner. Call it the rocker arm S15. The reason why we're doing this is because if you are ignorant with this, you can, like I said, break a cam, which we don't want to do, just because of the pressure. We're going to do valve springs and retainers on this engine too, so. So now we're at the fun part. We can remove the rocker arms, which is easy as literally just picking them up like this. And this is what I was talking about. So if you look, one side has kind of like a groove cut into it right here, where the other side is flat. So what Mazworks does is you give them your rocker arm with the shims. They take this shim, they replace it with one that is the correct height. So I think you buy them as like a 3mm shim, and then what they do is they'll grind it down to match this height. That's assuming that the engine is perfectly shim right now. I could get super crazy with it and I could measure everything. I don't have the tools, and I'm just gonna go under the assumption, since there's very little valve train noise, that it's good enough. That's usually what they do anyway. So they'll grind the rocker arm down so it can fit and accept a shim on both sides, and then they will give me the correct shim in a baggie. So I literally just gotta bag these up, label them, and then get them over to them. Unlike the other engine, this one doesn't appear to have a bunch of metal shavings in it, so that's always nice. Mike is going to assist me. I'm gonna pass him this rocker arm. So this would be exhaust one. Does it fit?
Yep.
And then I'll use a magnet to get the shims. And that one is complete. This is fun. This will be like my first time attempting to work on an engine to this extent, so it will be very rewarding or very disappointing. Let's find out. Well, now it's in Mazworks' hands.
Yes.
I'm gonna pull out the oil squirters, since they're gonna need to get primed and gone through. I don't think I'm gonna do the valve springs in this episode, because I guess I could. I just don't know if I have the compression tool thing here. TBD. I don't remember what these things are called. Hydraulic lifters? Yes, hydraulic lifters. We're gonna pull those out. It's a good habit to clean and prime them. It's fun, you get to squish them in a bucket of oil. Look at me working on an engine. Is this hot? She doesn't have a mic. She was like, it's the hottest thing on the planet. Everyone should be building SR20s right now. Yeah. Take notes, guys. So nerve-wracking. I've never done any of this before. I'm just winging it. She's looking at this. She's like, my rotaries have like 3 pieces. She's looking at a sea of parts and bolts. Rotaries are sick. I can't wait to build a rotary. Do you like hydraulic lifters? Yeah? Me too. She's like, I get so much more attention when they're building rotaries because it's so much easier.
All right, so we got a couple of front cross members for the 15. One to replace the broken one and one as a spare. One was for the older green S15, but one of the cross members we got locally was tweaked pretty bad. So we are gonna hold off on that one and just take both of these for this car, and while the green car is down. So like that we have a spare. YFAB sells a rack relocation kit that comes with everything you need to move the rack forward, and even comes out with the templates so that you could lay down the templates on the cross member, do your markings, and then you pretty much slice these pieces in and you bolt it down. So you gotta tweak it a little bit to make it fit perfect. And do some final cutting and grinding. So that's what I did with this one. Now this one is ready for welding, so I marked it all around, grind it all up, put these, there's these reinforcement pieces that goes in here, some sleeves, so that I could put it in while it gets welded up. There's also a brace that goes up here that holds this frame or cross member intact so it doesn't tweak out of place. So that gets all put on when you tack it and weld it.
Nice.
It could be that, but
Hard to see, but there's a tear after the hose clamp right there.
Yep, I'd say so.
that is the problem.
Yeah, them wires don't look hot.
No.
We can't be so sure until we test.
That's how you're gonna test.
We got the wheels on.
Who did this? God.
Who did that one?
So the 36 transmission's back in. We've changed the pilot bearing again. I tried something different to see if it holds up. Doesn't hold up. We just gotta get a new pilot bearing that is has a bigger diameter that on the crank collar or section, and so that the problem doesn't keep happening. It's just pretty much sliding out. We're putting the fuel pump back in because, as you saw, the wiring was kind of sketchy, and then that line, that hose was rough too. It was hard to see if there was a crack on it, but if there was a crack on it, eventually, obviously, fuel pressure will be released there. So now we're putting it back in. We ran the wires through the top hat on the fuel pump. Drift HQ has done that before. They just because of the same issues, and it's not hard to come off. So we took them off. We ran the new Dishworks wiring through it, heavy gauge, all new, and we found some Permatex epoxy that works with fuel, ethanol. So we put some of that in there, and then we use the epoxy on top. It hardened up pretty good, and now we added some DT connectors, Dutch connectors or whatever, to the fuel pump assembly, so everything is fresh. So that's the bender sand. Normally you would want to like bolt it to the floor. I didn't want to bolt it to the floor and make it fixed somewhere because we just move stuff a lot. So I made this thing to put this on, and there's gonna be a plate at the bottom of this thing that sits on, so that's gonna slide in, and then the palm is gonna mount to this, and it'll be portable around and all that and whatever. When we bend stuff and we have to make compound bends, we'll just have to make sure that we zero out or whatever our degree angle on this because of the level on the floor. But then the caster has locks too, so they will be permanent in that spot when we're welding, bending stuff. So that shouldn't be an issue. If the floor is not level or if this is not level, there's a way to work around that. But yeah. We're gonna go ahead and try to bend it back so we could use this whole bar. Sean is doing a good job of holding the camera. Mike, bleed that out, please. So yeah, we have this here. I don't want to redo the whole thing, so I'm gonna try to just bend this back. I need some fire. The bar is somewhat mucked up on the car. Marco's notching the jacking point. Yeah. We're just gonna take over, even the filming part. That's right! Got Marco here. Marco's bending the pipe. I mean, I bend the pipe, he's notching the pipe.
He bent the pipe, I lay the pipe. That's how we do it around here.
No.
You still recording?
How do you know how to use that thing?
We don't.
Just thought him.
I really wanted to do some BC springs and retainers today. However, we weren't able to locally get a spring compressor tool. We got the little one that they sell at Harbor Freight. Doesn't really fit in the engine well, so I'm just gonna wait to get the proper tool. They had it on Amazon, so I overnighted it. So what I did have come in the mail is my new oil pan. I was advised against using this pan specifically because I guess the threads tend to strip out on them. Not sure how I feel about it being a cast pan. The other pan that I wanted was out of stock, so I'm going with this. The whole goal is to have a little bit of extra capacity. Also some baffle flaps in here. But the reason why I'm excited for this, it means I finally get to pull the pan off this engine. I'm told it's a built engine, that it has forged internals. Can't confirm, but when we pull the pan off, we'll be able to see. We can see the bottom of the piston, we can see the rod, and maybe the condition of things, and make a determination, hopefully, that this engine's good enough for us to throw some boost at. So I'm gonna flip this thing upside down, put the new pretty pan on. It is time to take the pan off. Don't want to bend pan. Oh, I forgot about all this stuff. Pan looks gross, but I think it's just RTB.
Is it?
Is it metal?
No, that's metal.
Love that.
Huh.
From what?
I don't know. But there's a few bits.
Looks like a broken shim. Is it a shim from a rock arm? No.
I don't know.
Man, Johan, I got bad news.
It's not just oil that's in the pan.
I mean, I know it's metal.
Looks like a shim, but it's a weird
too
looking
big.
shim. Yeah. The hell?
Maybe it's from a previous blow up before the rebuild.
Wait, isn't this the 15
Yeah.
model that was running?
Yeah.
She was running great.
I mean, as much as it will suck, we could take this oil pan off and see
Yep.
if there's something broken in there. The front cover has to come off for that? No.
No, that sucks. I didn't realize you could see technically you could kind of time it from down here. I'm gonna have to pull the whole lower pan though to look at the pistons and the rods. I was hoping I'd be able to see it from in here. I really want to pull the strainer to see what's in that. I didn't want to pull the lower pan. I want to be lazy and leave it. I'm not super mad about pulling it because at least I'll have the peace of mind that it's sealed properly. But I really want to get a better idea of what's going on in this thing. So unfortunately, lower pan's coming off. Always forget about these two little guys right here. I did not want to have to do this. Kangaroo, love that. All right, now we need a light. So, to me, this looks like a stock rod. Doesn't have aftermarket rod bolts. These rod caps look OEM, that looks like a Nissan logo. What about the bottom of the piston? Can you shine in there? Pistons look stock too. Somebody got scammed. Kinda me, but not really me. Let's look at the crank. I don't see any gnarly scoring. Shine a light in here?
Didn't really see anything in there.
Yeah, but if this is a stock SR, I'm not gonna be able to do nearly what I wanted to with it. I'm just looking at that gray car thinking to myself, that's got a freshly built SR I can steal out of it and put a stock one in it.
Maybe.
Big sad.
We're here for confirmation.
Yeah.
That's a stock rod cap for sure.
I
Looking
think
at
kind
the-
of messed up if he used
I bet he got screwed, honestly. Someone probably lied to him.
yeah. They look like OEM pistons.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, they look OEM.
So it's a stock bottom end with a metal head gasket.
Pretty much. What can you see the head studs?
I don't know.
Should work on more 4 cylinders. Wow. Oh, they are beat.
So at least it's got ARP head studs and a metal head gasket. I'm not going to feel comfortable throwing the boost that I wanted to throw at this thing with stock rods. Even though the pistons are the weak point, this thing will be like happiest like right under 400 horsepower.
No, that means we have to open another SR.
The only thing that I could think that makes sense is
Build
stealing
that
that SR out of that car. 'Cause that one's built.
When you can.
It takes an hour to pull it.
Yeah.
Not what I wanted to do. And throw this thing back together as a stock refreshed SR and something else. Sad times here. I kind of lost a lot of my motivation and momentum now due to finding out that this engine is not built. Now, mind you, a non-built SR will still make decent power. They're actually pretty resilient. Probably make 400 and will last a long time. It's just sad because I thought I had something much better, and before I put all this time and energy into it, I want to make sure it's a good engine. So right now, like obviously I'm interested to see what you guys think and what your suggestions are. My gut is telling me that I should just assemble this thing back together. I'm gonna check it with a Boroscope tomorrow morning. I'm just waiting to go get mine from my other house, and hopefully cylinder bores are half decent, and then I can have some confidence for using it for something. It would be a stock simpler SR, and then as much as I hate taking apart a good working car, my gut is telling me I should just pull the SR that I know is built well out of the Zenki and put that in the S15, since that's going to be the car that's going to see the most abuse. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't want to put any pans back on until I'm able to check with the Boroscope. So right now my task is to just clean up the upper, and then that way tomorrow morning we'll be ready to just go right back on if it checks out. So Amazon to Boroscope. Shout out to Amazon having a next day delivery. Literally ordered and it came in the morning before like 8 a.m. So what I'm looking for is any like vertical scoring, which would be the indication of metal or junk or debris. Like that right there.
Yeah.
It looks pretty low in the cylinder though, so it's hard to tell which is right side up and which is not. Okay, yeah, so I'm holding it upside down. So there you can see on the side of the rod, it's piston. So at the very, very bottom, I see some like kind of vertical scuffs, but I don't know if the piston actually travels that far, because you see that line right there?
Yeah.
It looks like that's where the piston stops. So that might not be something to be too concerned about. So the cross hatches on this one look pretty good. Again, it just has those vertical lines kind of at the very bottom of the bore, which I don't think the piston goes that far. So I see the vertical lines I was not hoping for in the bore, but see how there's that other line? Is that the bottom of where the piston stops?
It looks like it's just like this motor sat multiple times for a long period of time.
So,
And that's why you're seeing those vertical lines or horizontal lines.
but does the piston go down to the very bottom of the bore?
No.
So those vertical lines are not likely then from metal scratching it, because that's right at the top of the bore, you see?
Right, okay, yeah.
Or the bottom, I should say.
That's just the skirt scratching that.
But it's not from the rings, because the rings don't go down that far.
No. The rings, you could clearly see it there.
So then, based on the rings, the crosshatch doesn't look too bad. You can still see it faintly. All right. Looking at the top now.
Definitely OE pistons.
And the saga of the springs continues. I ordered another tool and I wasn't really paying attention. What you need for the SRs is the one that kind of bolts down, has a long rod, so you can put pressure on them. That's not going to work because obviously the head's not off the engine. So Dodo Me is going to have to wait until Monday to do the springs. All right, so to kind of reiterate, the new plan for this is basically everything that I'd planned for it originally. I'll just have to be a little bit more cautious on the tuning side, and I will likely put this engine in the 14 and take the 14 engine, put it in the 15. I'd say the only thing that's going to go slightly different, I got all the nice pretty hardware from the new JDM. All my engine hardware I sent out, and Mike over there got it all zinc coated for me. He's a homie. I'll put a link in the description if you guys need anything zinc plated, or if you need anything vapor honed, he's your guy. So originally all this hardware is going to go on this engine, but what I might do is pull the other engine, put them side by side on a stand, and then use the nice powder coated brackets and zinc hardware on the built engine. So I have like the freshest of the fresh in the fresh build. So anyway, kind of a disappointing video, but happens, and we'll see you soon.
When you said